Final Fantasy Tactics. If there's one tactical RPG that's pretty much engraved into the soul of the genre, it's Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions. This game is a legend, straight up, and not just because it's got Final Fantasy in the title, but because it goes way beyond what most people expected from a strategy game back in the late 90s and early 2000s. First off, the story. This thing is dense, like Game of Thrones, but anime medieval kind of dense. You've got noble houses, corrupt church officials, civil wars, betrayal, and ancient myths all tangled up in one absolutely fire script. And the PSP remake cranked the writing up a notch with a way better English localization. It's poetic and sharp now, not that awkward PS1 translation that had you guessing what the hell half the characters were trying to say. Now let's talk gameplay, because holy hell, this game goes deep. It's an isometric grid-based strategy RPG, turn-based, with positioning, elevation, facing direction, and timing all affecting combat. Every single move counts. The battlefield isn't just a pretty background, it's part of the strategy. High ground gives you better range. Attacking someone from behind, extra damage. Messed up your spellcast timing? Tough luck. Now your buddy's in the blast radius. You gotta plan ahead like you're playing chess in a burning building. But where Final Fantasy Tactics really shines is the job system. You don't just pick one class. You can unlock and combine abilities from a bunch of different jobs, like Knight, Wizard, Ninja, Summoner, Thief, and way more. Want to build a teleporting black mage with monk fists? You can. Want to turn a lancer into a healing, sword-swinging juggernaut? Go for it. You can customize your squad so deeply that people still find new team combos decades later. Tactics Ogre let us cling together. This game don't just sit in the classic pile, it defines the whole damn tactical RPG genre. It's one of those titles that's been influencing strategy games for decades without screaming for attention. No flashy marketing, no cheap gimmicks, just deep, thoughtful gameplay and a story that hits like a truck. You get thrown into a war-torn world where every choice pulls the rug out from under you, the writing doesn't hold your hand, you're making cold-blooded decisions with real consequences. Someone's life might depend on the path you choose, and once you go down that road, you carry the weight. It's not just about good or bad either. It's about survival, betrayal, loyalty, and all that messy gray area in between. And the gameplay, man, that's the good stuff. Turn-based, grid-style combat where positioning actually matters, height advantages, line of sight, unit classes, it's all baked in so tight you can't afford to zone out. You move wrong and someone's dead. This ain't a casual tactics game, it's chess with swords, bows, and magic, and every move keeps your brain firing. The PSP version gave it a fresh coat of paint with a smarter UI, reworked balance, and a time rewind feature that saves you from rage quitting after a single mistake. And even though the visuals keep that old school sprite vibe, they look clean. That art style? Timeless. Every map feels handcrafted, every battle looks like it belongs in a gritty fantasy novel. But what really locks you in is the loop. Finish a fight, adjust your squad, tweak some gear, hop into the next mission. Before you know it, the sun's coming up and you've been stuck in this medieval chess match for 8 straight hours without blinking. Tactics Ogre isn't loud, but it's powerful. It grabs hold of you with smart gameplay and keeps you there with writing that feels like real human drama. It's not just a strategy game, it's a full-blown experience where you feel every hit, every loss, every messed up decision. If you're into tactical stuff and want something that hits hard without wasting your time, this one delivers.
Copy that.
XCOM 2. So XCOM 2 takes that whole aliens have invaded Earth vibe, flips it, and says, yeah, the aliens won. Earth's already screwed. You're not the global military anymore. You're the underdog. You're running a scrappy rebellion, hiding in shadows, moving from place to place in this flying base that kind of feels like a mix between a war room and a survival bunker. That setting alone gives it this gritty, desperate energy. You're always on the back foot, and that pressure doesn't let up. Combat's where it sinks its claws into you. It's turn-based, squad-focused, and absolutely brutal. You're sneaking through half-destroyed cities trying to ambush patrols, hacking enemy tech, managing cover, keeping your sharpshooter alive while aliens throw all kinds of mutated nonsense your way. Every choice in combat matters. You leave someone flanked for one turn, they're dead. You misjudge a grenade range, half your squad's on fire. And when a veteran soldier gets wiped, it hurts, because you've probably been leveling them for hours, they've got nicknames, you gave them custom armor, you cared, and now they're gone. on. Inside of combat, there's this whole other layer. Research, engineering, building your base, flying to different regions to gather intel or stop alien plans. It becomes this crazy balancing act. You're constantly choosing between short-term survival and long-term growth. Need a new weapon upgrade? That's a few days of research, but now aliens are launching some secret project, and if you don't shut it down in time, you'll lose. No pressure, right? What makes it so addicting is the momentum. Every win feels earned, every loss hits like a gut punch, and the game keeps pushing you to take one more risk, one more mission, one more upgrade. You just want your squad to make it through the next fight. You just want to take back one more region, and before you know it, the whole night's gone, and you're knee-deep in alien blood with a squad full of scarred veterans and barely enough resources to hold it all together. It's a tough game. It's punishing, but it's fair, and when you finally pull off a flawless mission, or take down a sectopod without losing anyone, or promote a rookie into a full-blown hero, man, that rush is something else. XCOM 2 isn't here to babysit you. It gives you the tools, throws you into the fire, and watches to see if you crawl out swinging. And that challenge, that's what makes it so damn hard to put down. Fire Emblem Three Houses. This thing ain't just a strategy game, it's a whole damn lifestyle. 1 minute you're in a classroom, teaching sword moves and drinking tea with students like some chill professor. Next minute you're marching across the battlefield while your favorite student catches a critical hit to the face and dies permanently unless you rewind time or rage quit fast enough. Now, the game takes place in this giant monastery/academy called Garrig Mach. You roll in as a mysterious stoic mercenary turned teacher, and pretty quickly you've got to pick one of 3 houses to lead, and that choice, that's not some flavor text. It literally changes the entire storyline, the characters, and even which countries end up at war later. Each house has its own vibe. Black Eagles for the edgy kids, Blue Lions if you're into tragic princes and loyalty stuff, and Golden Deer if you want laid-back chaos with a side of jokes and arrows. But here's where it gets spicy. After the school phase, the game jumps forward 5 years. Things go dark. Students you taught are now grown-up warriors, friends are suddenly enemies, and that cozy academy vibe, gone. It turns into a straight-up war story with betrayal, heartbreak, and some heavy-ass choices that hit different when you've watched these characters grow from nervous teens into battlefield monsters. And the combat, pure Fire Emblem goodness. Grid-based, turn-based, rock, paper, scissors, weapon triangle type stuff. Well, not exactly in this one, but still. With layers of class upgrades, battalion, support boosts, and permadeath always breathing down your neck. Every unit feels like a person, not just a chess piece, which makes every single move carry weight. You start caring too much, you end up reloading a save just so your archer doesn't die, even though it's just a game. That's the hold it gets on you. And then there's the downtime stuff. Teaching classes, bonding with students, giving gifts, eating meals, doing fishing mini-games. It shouldn't be addicting, but it totally is. You get weirdly invested in who likes what tea or who needs motivation before their next big test. It's half anime simulator, half tactical RPG, and somehow it just works. It's one of those games where the strategy pulls you in, but the characters are what make it unforgettable. You come for the tactics, you stay because you just want to protect your weird little anime students from the horrors of war. Fire Emblem Three Houses is pure addiction. Clean, emotional, tactical bliss with layers on layers of story and gameplay that keep your brain and heart locked in from start to finish. Valkyria Chronicles. Valkyria Chronicles is one of those games that sneaks up on you. At first glance, it's got that soft watercolor anime look. Like it might be chill or slow or maybe a little too cute, but nah. This thing is a full-on tactical war drama dressed up in a hand-painted art style, and it hits way harder than it looks. It's set in a fantasy version of World War II, kinda. You've got 2 massive superpowers fighting over this rare energy source called Ragnite, and right in the middle is this neutral little country called Gallia, just trying not to get steamrolled. You play as Squad 7, a small, scrappy militia unit made up of regular people. Not superheroes, not chosen ones, just farmers, students, mechanics, folks who got pulled into a war they didn't ask for. What makes this game really pop is the combat system. It's not the usual turn-based grid thing. Instead, you get this hybrid system where you plan from above, then drop down into third-person mode to actually move your units in real time. So you're literally lining up sniper shots, sprinting between cover and dodging machine gun fire yourself, but still managing action points and unit turns like a strategy game. It's such a clean mix of tactics and boots on the ground control, it almost feels like a genre of its own. Each soldier in your squad has their own name, background, likes, dislikes, and yeah, that stuff matters. Some units fight better near their friends, some panic in certain terrain, some straight up refuse to take orders from people they don't like. So instead of just throwing bodies at a problem, you're building a team that actually gels together.
Has to be made unshakable. Gregor, see to a...
And once you start getting attached, good luck sending them into danger without sweating a little. The missions themselves stay fresh the whole time. Some maps are wide open with tanks and artillery, others are tight, urban, full of traps and snipers. The game loves throwing curveballs at you. Weather changes, reinforcements, bosses that stop half your squad in one move. So you can't just coast on one strategy, you're always adjusting, always thinking on the fly. Valkyria Chronicles is the kind of tactical RPG that doesn't feel like anything else. It plays different, it looks different, and once it pulls you in, it's hard to stop. You'll finish a mission, then sit there for 10 minutes wondering how the hell you pulled it off, or how you're gonna make it through the next one without losing your favorite scout. It's that kind of game. Addictive in the smartest, most emotional way possible.
This is where we'll start our operation.
We do not take kindly to thievery here in Wolfort.
Triangle strategy. Triangle strategy might sound like some kind of high school geometry assignment, but nah. This game is straight up tactical warfare meets political drama, and it does not mess around. It's slow burn at first, sure, but once it gets going, it grabs your brain and doesn't let go. And if you've got even a tiny bit of love for Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy Tactics, or anything grid-based and brutal, this one's gonna scratch that itch hard. So here's the setup. 3 nations all fighting over resources like salt and iron. Sounds boring on paper, but the way the game tells this story, way deeper than you'd expect. It's like a full-blown Game of Thrones style situation. Alliances, betrayals, class struggles, backstabbing royalty, and decisions that actually twist the whole storyline. And I don't mean pick red or blue kind of choices. I mean real, messy stuff where no answer feels right. You're sitting there, sweating over whether to betray a friend or let your people starve. Stuff that hurts, because the writing makes you care. Now, gameplay-wise, this is pure tactics candy. It's turn-based with positioning and elevation being huge factors. You hit harder from behind, magic attacks can trigger chain reactions like setting fire to icy terrain, and you're always trying to corner enemies or knock them off cliffs. Every fight feels like a puzzle, but not in that annoying, abstract way. It's more like, how the hell do I survive this without losing half my squad? You'll be spending time thinking through every move, not just charging in. One cool twist is how it handles party management. There's no level grinding really, you can't over-level your way out of a tough fight. Instead, you get better by understanding your units, their synergy, their roles, and the cast, big, way bigger than you'd think.
2 ashes. What?
You'll unlock a ton of characters with unique jobs and quirks, like a guy who can build ladders and traps, or a healer who uses lightning magic on the side. You start building favorites, leaning into certain combos, and every new recruit opens up fresh tactical options. And now let's talk about the choices again, because that's where the triangle part kicks in. The game runs on this system called the Scales of Conviction, which sounds like a fantasy buzzword, but it's actually dope. You don't just make decisions solo, you debate with your inner circle. You have to convince your allies to vote with you. And if you fail, the story branches in a different direction. So not only are you dealing with hard moral questions, you're also working the politics of your own team. It's stressful, it's awesome. Triangle strategy doesn't rush you. It wants you to think. It makes you plan, it makes you second guess, and makes you live with your calls. And when a choice you made 10 hours ago comes back to bite you in the middle of a war zone, that's when you know the game's doing something special.
I struck true.
The Banner Saga. The Banner Saga is like this slow, heavy, beautiful gut punch of a game that sticks with you way after the credits roll. It's not loud, it's not fast, but damn, it's powerful. It feels like reading an ancient Norse epic while dragging your people through the snow with death chasing you the whole way. Right from the jump, the game hits you with this brutal tone. The sun has literally stopped moving in the sky, giants called Varl are marching alongside humans, and this weird mechanical race called the Dredge is just wiping taking out everything in its path. You're not trying to be a hero, you're trying to survive, leading a caravan of refugees, warriors, and broken families across a frozen, collapsing world. It's a road trip through the end times, basically. And the choices? Rough. You're not picking between good and evil, you're choosing which problem you want to deal with next. Maybe you let a starving village join your caravan, but now your supplies won't last the week. Maybe you punish a thief and the whole camp starts resenting you. It's that kind of storytelling. Grounded, hard, and very real. Every stop on the journey brings a new problem, and there's no perfect answer. Combat is turn-based, tactical, and slower paced, but that's not a bad thing. It makes you think. There's a unique system here where you're managing both armor and strength, and characters don't just drop in a couple hits. You've gotta chip away, break defenses, and time your moves carefully. Mistakes build up fast, and since it's a small squad every time, losing someone stings, both mechanically and emotionally. The music too, man, it slaps. Austin Wintory composed the score, and it's got that haunting, mournful Viking vibe that fits perfectly. You're not just playing a game, you're leading people through tragedy, backed by choirs and war drums. It's emotional, even when nothing's being said. But what really makes the Banner Saga addicting, even with its slower pace, is that constant tension. You never feel safe. Every decision feels like you're holding everything together with duct tape and hope, and the fact that your choices carry across the whole trilogy, that just adds even more weight to every step you take. It's not your typical tactical RPG, it's quieter, sadder, but that's exactly what makes it special. It pulls you in with the journey, the characters, and that looming sense that everything could fall apart at any second, and once you start, it's hard to stop. You just have to see what happens next, even if you're afraid of what that might be. Disgaea 5 Alliance of Vengeance. Disgaea 5 Alliance of Vengeance is straight up chaos in the best way possible. Like, if every other tactical RPG is playing chess, Disgaea 5 is playing 4D anime pinball with explosions, level 99 demons, and jokes flying every 5 seconds. It's insane, it knows it's insane, and it fully leans into that energy. So the plot, on the surface, yeah, it's about revenge. Some big evil dude named Void Dark is out here wrecking entire netherworlds, and you play as Killia, this super edgy demon with a mysterious past and a serious grudge. But right away the tone flips, because while it sounds serious, the game instantly throws in a bunch of ridiculous, over-the-top characters. You've got a princess obsessed with muscle dudes, a demon overlord who wants to build an army through friendship, and these weird little penguin things called prinnies that explode when thrown. It's chaos, man. Glorious chaos. But the real star here is the gameplay. This ain't your average grid-based tactic system. This thing is stacked with layers on layers of mechanics. You're tossing units across the map, stacking characters into towers, triggering combo attacks, manipulating the battlefield with geo-panels, and pulling off damage numbers that literally break the screen. Like, you'll be hitting for billions with a B, and that's not even endgame stuff. It's just how the game rolls. And the grind, addictive as hell. This is one of those games where you go down the rabbit hole real fast. You start out just clearing story missions. Next thing you know, you're min-maxing characters, diving into the item world, which is literally an entire dungeon inside your weapons, tweaking abilities, unlocking classes, and pushing to get every stat maxed out. It's like RPG crack. The game is built to let you break it, and it's funny while you do it. Disgaea 5 also gives you a lot of freedom. Wanna create an army of cat girls with sniper rifles? Go for it. Wanna make a team of zombie cheerleaders that boost your main damage dealer? Sure. The game throws a stupid amount of content at you and dares you to mess with it. It's not balanced, it's not supposed to be. It's a playground for strategy nerds who love seeing numbers go up and systems stack in wild ways. And while the story leans goofy, there's still some heart buried under all that madness. Characters have real motivations, there are moments that hit surprisingly hard, and it wraps everything in that classic power of friendship anime energy, just with more explosions and demon lords. Pathfinder Kingmaker. Pathfinder Kingmaker is what happens when a crunchy tabletop RPG, a medieval politics simulator, and a party-based tactical game all get tossed in a blender, and somehow the result is this massive, dense, ridiculously deep RPG that can swallow your whole weekend without you even realizing it. This one ain't for the faint of heart. It's based on the Pathfinder tabletop system, which is already way more detailed than something like D&D. We're talking stats for everything. Buffs, debuffs, feats, skills, alignments, does. It throws the whole rulebook at you and then some. So if you're the kind of person who gets excited reading about damage types and armor class modifiers, you're gonna love this thing. And if not, well, there's a bit of a learning curve, a big one. But here's the hook. You're not just some wandering adventurer. You actually get to become a ruler. You go from clearing out bandit camps to managing your own kingdom, assigning advisors, building towns, dealing with political headaches, solving problems like droughts or rebellions. One moment you're fighting a troll under a bridge, the next you're holding court trying to decide whether to hang a corrupt noble or forgive him for the greater good. It adds this layer of responsibility that you don't usually get in other RPGs. The tactical combat is where it gets extra addicting. You can play it real time with pause or flip it into turn-based mode thanks to a later update, and both feel great once you get into the rhythm. Positioning matters, spell usage is everything, and building your party's synergy takes actual thought. You'll burn hours just respecking your characters to squeeze out that perfect build, whether you want a rogue who dual wields daggers or a wizard who's basically a walking nuke. Now let's be real, it's janky in spots. The UI can feel overwhelming, some systems aren't explained all that well, and you'll probably screw up a kingdom event or two just because the game didn't make it clear what the hell you were supposed to do. But weirdly, that's part of the charm. It's rough around the edges, but once you push past that, the depth waiting underneath is wild. Pathfinder Kingmaker is the kind of game that doesn't just ask for your time, it demands it. But the payoff, massive. You get this slow burn power fantasy where you go from nobody to ruler, from barely surviving goblins to fighting off ancient curses. It gives you ownership over your story, your party, your kingdom, and once it gets its hooks in, you'll keep playing just one more quest until the sun comes up. It's not the cleanest tactical RPG, but it's easily one of the most involved. And for the right kind of player, that complexity is what makes it so damn hard to put down.
It's been a rough few years for the desert.
Wasteland 3. Wasteland 3 is straight up nuclear junkyard gold. It's gritty, it's weird, it's darkly funny, and it somehow pulls all that chaos into one tight, addicting tactical RPG that just works. Whether you're into squad-based combat, brutal choices, or just watching things spiral out of control in the best possible way, this game gets it done. You play as the Desert Rangers, a ragtag group sent from the scorched ruins of Arizona into frozen, post-apocalyptic Colorado. The goal? Strike a deal with a local tyrant called the Patriarch. Sounds simple enough, but nothing simple in this world. You roll into Colorado expecting diplomacy, and instead get caught between cults, warlords, cyborgs, cannibals, talking AI toasters, and people who worship Ronald Reagan like he's a god. It's nuts, and yeah, it leans into that absurdity hard, but still keeps things grounded just enough that the emotional punches still land. Combat-wise, it's full-on tactical turn-based action. Cover matters, range matters. Every bullet grenade and ability has weight. You've got a whole squad to manage, each with their own weapons, skills, quirks, and backstories, and the game lets you build them however you want. You want a sniper with animal whispering skills who travels with a pet flamingo? Done. A melee brawler who's also your team's medic? Sure, go wild. It's flexible as hell, and there's a ton of ways to approach every fight. But it's not just about winning battles, it's about how you handle everything outside of them. Wasteland 3 gives you constant choices. And not that fake, this one gives you 10 XP and this one gives you 12 XP kind of choice. I'm talking about burning down entire settlements, betraying allies, choosing between saving a town or letting it fall to protect your own base. The consequences hit hard and stick. People remember, factions shift, whole storylines can change depending on your choices. Then there's the loot, the leveling, the gear upgrades. It's a full RPG meal, customizing weapons, tweaking skills, choosing perks, unlocking new abilities. It scratches that progression itch constantly. And with co-op, you can even bring a friend along for the ride and argue over whether to blow up a town or save it. Wasteland 3 isn't clean or polished or sleek, and that's the point. It's a messy, busted, brutal world full of tough decisions, tactical shootouts, and unforgettable weirdos. You're gonna mess up, you're gonna lose people, but you'll care, and you'll keep going, because the next choice, the next fight, the next, oh god, what did I just do moment, is always right around the corner. It's a cold, broken, morally twisted ride, and it's hard to stop once it pulls you in.
Your guns and she doesn't die. Got it?
I can feel it, right?
Marvel's Midnight Suns. Marvel's Midnight Suns is one of those games that looked like it was going to be a generic Marvel spin-off at first, but turns out it's low-key one of the most addictive tactical RPGs in years. Like, they really cooked with this one. It's smart, stylish, and way deeper than anyone expected, especially if you're into deck building, team synergy, and seeing Wolverine body slam a demon through a church wall. So yeah, it's from the same folks who made XCOM, but this ain't just XCOM with Iron Man. They actually flipped the whole combat system. Instead of grid movement and strict action points, you're dealing with cards. Each hero has their own deck, attack cards, skill cards, ultimate moves, and every turn, you're drawing new ones, deciding who plays what, and using the environment to your advantage. It's tactical, but also super fluid and cinematic. You're kicking enemies into exploding barrels, knocking them off rooftops, pulling off flashy combos, and somehow pulling off perfect turns by squeezing every little action out of your deck. And the best part? No permadeath. You're not stressing about losing a character forever like in XCOM. You're actually encouraged to experiment, try weird builds, and play aggressively. It's all about figuring out how to make your squad click. Like maybe you pair Blade's bleed stacks with Ghost Rider's self-damage tanking, or set up Doctor Strange to buff the hell out of your hand before Captain Marvel nukes the field. Outside of combat, though, that's where the real surprise is. You're not just fighting demons, you're also living at this big old supernatural mansion called the Abbey. Between missions, you hang out with your squad, build friendships, give gifts, train in the yard, pet your demon dog, explore the ground, solve little puzzles. It's like Fire Emblem's tea time stuff, but with superheroes. The deeper you go, the more you get hooked. The base upgrades, the deck tuning, the passive buffs, the friendship levels, all of it feeds into the main loop. You do a mission, unlock new cards, tweak your heroes, build a better team, go back in stronger. It's got that one more mission energy in full force. And the story? Surprisingly solid. You play as the Hunter, a custom-created hero who's basically the child of Lilith, the big bad demon mom. You get to choose your gender, appearance, light/dark alignment, and even your dialogue style. It's not Shakespeare, but it goes way harder than it needs to. Tons of lore, solid voice acting, and a cast of Marvel characters you don't usually see in the spotlight, like Nico from Runaways, Magic, and Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider. Not just the Avengers on repeat. It's also one of the rare Marvel games that lets the gameplay lead, not just the license. You're not button mashing here. You're thinking, planning, experimenting, and it pays off with some of the most satisfying combat the genre's had in a while. Shining Force. Shining Force is like that cool older cousin of the tactical RPG genre. It doesn't scream for attention, it's not bloated with a million systems, but it knows what it's doing. Straight up, it's one of the OGs. Laid back and vibe, clean in design, and somehow still addictive as hell even after all these years. This was back on the Sega Genesis, right? And for a lot of folks, this was their first taste of tactics gameplay. You've got a grid, you've got a crew of fantasy warriors, knights, archers, mages, centaurs, werewolves, birdmen, all that good stuff, and your job is to lead them through turn-based battles across a big old medieval world. Classic good vs evil type deal. You're the chosen hero. Evil empire rising, gotta save the world. You know the drill, but it just works. What makes it so addictive isn't the complexity, it's the simplicity. It keeps things tight. Each character has their own class, their own strengths, their own clear purpose on the battlefield. Movement ranges are clear, attacks feel punchy, and every level feels like a small challenge to conquer. It's easy to pick up, but still super satisfying to master. You're not getting lost in menus or 10 layers of upgrades. You're just in the fight, turn by turn, planning your moves like a battlefield puzzle. The visuals, for the time, had this bright, clean pixel art that still holds up in a charming way. Characters had personality, even with limited animations. And the music, straight up banger for a Genesis title. Those battle themes still hit with that heroic adventure energy. There's no fancy dialogue wheels or world-altering choices here. It's just you, your team, and a clean old-school grind through a fantasy war. And that's kind of what makes it special. It's all about the core loop. Battle, level up, promote, move on, and it's tight. No fluff, no bloat, just pure tactical flow, one square at a time. If you grew up with it, Shining Force is a comfort game. If you're new to it, it's a damn good way to see where the genre started getting its groove. Either way, it's got that just one more fight energy baked into every turn, and that's what makes it timeless. Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark. Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark feels like a throwback, but in all the right ways. It's clearly built by folks who grew up on Final Fantasy Tactics and said, alright, let's bring that style back, but smoother, cleaner, and with way more freedom. You're dropped into a fantasy world that's more grounded than most. Instead of gods or dragons tearing up the sky, it's more about power, laws, and the people stuck in the middle. You're playing as Kiri, an arbiter, basically a peacekeeper, trying to keep things from falling apart. The story doesn't waste your time. It moves quick and keeps things sharp without trying to be overly dramatic. Now, the real reason people get hooked on this game is the combat and character building. It's that classic top-down, turn-based strategy, but with tons of depth. You get access to over 30 classes, and every character can dip into different job trees, mix abilities, unlock passives, and build wild combinations. It's like a toy box for strategy nerds. You can build a healer who throws poison, or a sniper who also casts buffs. The game never stops giving you tools to mess with. Each fight feels like a small puzzle. You're thinking about unit placement, movement range, damage types, all that good stuff. It doesn't feel bloated though. It keeps the pace tight, and most fights don't drag. And when you win with a clever setup, it feels earned. Visually, it's got a clean, hand-drawn art style, nothing crazy or flashy, but it looks nice, runs great, and never gets in the way. The music does the job, the menus are smooth, and loading times are quick. It respects your time, and that alone makes it easier to sink hours into it. Symphony of War: The Nephilim Saga. Symphony of War: The Nephilim Saga looks kinda low budget at first glance, like something you'd scroll past on Steam and barely notice. But once you boot it up, it hooks you hard. Not because it's flashy or cinematic or full of voice acting, it's none of that. It takes a ton of inspiration from old school Fire Emblem and Ogre Battle, but then throws in some wild ideas of its own. Instead of controlling single units, you're building full squads, like full-on mini armies packed into one tile. Each squad can have mages, healers, archers, knights, gunners, dragons, whatever you want. It's kind of like running a tactical chessboard where every piece is secretly a whole D&D party. And building those squads, that's the real addiction. You're constantly hiring new units, promoting them, managing morale, juggling gear, tweaking formations. Want an all-female team of armored cavalry that charges into enemy lines with perfect synchronization? You can build that. Or maybe a sneaky group of assassins who melt the back line while the front takes all the hits. It's totally up to you. And when it works, it feels incredible. Combat is turn-based, but battles happen automatically once you engage. You set the formation, give each squad its roles, and when the fight starts, they go off, trading hits, healing, casting spells. You just sit back and watch the madness play out. It's satisfying in this weirdly chill way, because all the strategy happens before the fight. You're rewarded for planning, not button mashing. The story's got some meat on it too, nothing groundbreaking, but it's solid. War breaks out, ancient powers resurface, you're a commander caught in the middle of a big ol' fantasy mess. There's a chosen one twist, secret bloodlines, betrayal, all the classics, but it's told well enough to keep you locked in, and there are moments that hit surprisingly hard for a game with pixel characters and basic cutscenes. And yeah, the visuals, they're simple. Retro sprites, basic maps, no fancy effects, but somehow it works. The art is clear, clean, and it lets the mechanics shine. It feels like it was made by people who didn't care about flash, they just wanted to make something smart, deep, and straight up fun. If you like min-maxing, tweaking builds, and watching your perfectly crafted squads wipe the floor with enemies, this game will eat your time like nothing else. It's not about looking pretty, it's about that loop. Build, upgrade, fight, repeat. One more battle turns into 10, one more squad tweak becomes a full hour of party planning. Symphony of War is that rare indie tactics game that gets everything right. It's not here to impress you with big budget flair, it just delivers the kind of tight, thoughtful strategy that sinks into your brain and doesn't let go. It's the kind of game you fire up thinking you'll mess with it for a bit, and suddenly it's 3 AM and you're still arguing with yourself about whether to swap out your healer for a second archer.
All right. It's time to summon
Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor. This game's got a setup that pulls you in right away. You and your buddies are just regular teens in Tokyo until suddenly the city goes into lockdown, like full-on military quarantine. No one in, no one out. And on top of that, demons start pouring in through these sketchy-looking apps on people's devices. Phones turn into summoning tools. Things get dark fast. You're stuck in a city where people are freaking out, running out of supplies, turning on each other, and you've got 7 in-game days to figure out what the hell's going on before everything goes completely completely sideways. Now, gameplay-wise, it's a mix between traditional SMT demon fusion stuff and grid-based tactical battles. You move your squad around a battlefield, but when you actually engage with an enemy, the game flips into a first-person turn-based battle like classic SMT. So it's got this cool double-layered combat flow. Positioning matters, but so does what skills you bring into the actual fight. Each character rolls with a small team of demons, kind of like Pokemon, but way more brutal. You can recruit, fuse, evolve, and customize demons with different elemental attacks, passive abilities, resistances, all that good stuff. It's flexible as hell, and figuring out which demons to bring, which ones to fuse, and how to cover your weaknesses becomes a whole mini game on its own. What really locks you in, though, is the tension. The entire game runs on a clock. Certain events only happen at certain times. You can't do everything. You have to choose what scenes to see, what fights to take, who to help, and the decisions? Heavy. People can die if you ignore them. You might end up making an enemy out of someone just because you didn't have time to explain yourself. And the story isn't scared to go bleak. It deals with death, desperation, and the weight of knowing that no matter what you do, you probably can't save everyone. There are multiple endings, branching routes, moral choices, and enough twists to make your head spin. The replay value is massive. One playthrough might lead you to fight alongside angels. The next might have you siding with demons, or rejecting both and carving your own path. It's not just good versus evil, it's more like law versus chaos versus complete anarchy. Devil Survivor might not be as well known as Persona or the main SMT titles, but it hits just as hard. It blends strategy and RPG elements in a way that feels fast, smart, and always challenging. And the whole time loop countdown to doom setup, that gives it a real sense of urgency that most tactics games don't even try to pull off. Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber. Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber is one of those games that quietly carved out a cult following and never let go. It doesn't care about fast pacing or flashy combat, it's all about deep, layered strategy, long-term planning, and choices that carry real weight. If most tactical RPGs are short sprints between battles, this one feels like a full-on war campaign. Long, slow, thoughtful, and crazy addictive once it clicks. You play as Magnus Gallant, a young military officer caught right in the middle of a revolution. The whole continent's a political mess, rebellion, class divide, corrupt kings, secret cults, and your job is to lead your troops and shape the outcome of the entire war. It starts small, but the decisions you make early on will echo all the way through. Allies, enemies, who lives, who dies, even which of the many endings you get. All of it builds slowly and naturally without ever spelling things out too much. Gameplay-wise, it's way different from most tactics games. You're not moving single units around a grid, you're commanding squads, each one made up of multiple characters, and sending them across massive real-time battle maps. Once two units meet on the field, the game zooms in and they go at it semi-automatically based on their stats, formation, and commands you've given. So it's all about preparation. Who's in which squad, where they go, what role they serve, and how they hold up when the fight starts. There's something weirdly satisfying about watching the system play out. You're not micromanaging every move, you're playing the role of a commander, making big picture decisions and watching your army execute your plan. And when it all goes right, when your flank holds, your mages melt the front line, and your knights sweep in to finish the job, it feels so damn good. The customization here is deep too. You're managing alignment, class promotions, unit loyalty, morale, time of day, and trying to maintain your reputation as a leader. There's no single right way to play, but messing up does have consequences. Raise an army full of evil aligned units and try to pretend you're the good guy, yeah, the game will call you out. Start sending in low reputation squads to liberate towns, the people will reject you. It's always tracking what kind of leader you are, not just what battles you win. Visually, it's aged, no doubt. N64 graphics were never pretty, and the UI can feel clunky now, but the art style still has charm, and the soundtrack, man, it's epic. Full of that medieval high fantasy drama that makes even basic encounters feel like something big is at stake. It's not an easy game, it doesn't explain itself very well, and it sure as hell doesn't hold your hand, but for the folks who get into it, it's one of the most satisfying, slow burn tactics experiences ever made. Every battle, every promotion, every decision slowly shapes your army into something uniquely yours. And by the end, you're not just some random hero, you're a full-on warlord carrying the weight of every choice you made along the way. Ogre Battle 64 isn't about quick thrills, it's about the long game, building your army, choosing your path, and leading your people through the messiest kind of war. And if that sounds like your thing, this game will keep you hooked for hours.